Hi, I'm Jolie,
And I'm Charlie.
and welcome to Teatime Talks, the Language Addicts weekly podcast to help your English listening skills. Now, today, we're going to be titling this episode British Telephone Etiquette 101, because if there's one thing for certain, it's that Brits have a very distinct culture around telephone calls, texting, that I think are very specific to the UK, England. So we were going to run through it. So if you're coming to the UK or speaking with Brits, you can sound like a native when on the phone to them because some of these can be pretty bad social faux pas if you get them wrong. Don't you agree?
Yeah, that's true. I never really realized it until I started talking to like Americans and things
Mhm.
online. But yeah, the way we text is quite specific to the UK.
I've noted down some things that I think are very specific to British telephone etiquette, and I'm going to tell them one by one to Charlie, see what you think, see if you agree, and we're going to run through and explain them as well. So, I guess if we're going to go chronological order in terms of a telephone call, it's that you always say hello.
Mm.
Now, I didn't think this was something specific to the UK or even maybe the Western world, I don't know. Um, but it's it's some countries, some cultures, they don't say hello when they answer the phone.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, from what I know, there's certain countries that have like a very specific greeting that they only use on the phone, like Japan does. And then, for example, in Russia, it depends on the situation, but they have also some like quite formal greetings for if you're calling like someone at work or something. Like they have a very specific way where they say like, "Oh, hello, I'm with you. My name is this," but they don't really like just say hello. Like we kind of ask it as a question. We're like, "Hello."
Yeah, like when you answer I mean, I guess it's the same for in Japanese or like moshi moshi or like Korean, it's like yobaseo, like it's a question almost like hello, who is this? But yeah, when I was researching like what online kind of articles or blogs or anything to do with telephone etiquette in the UK, one of the things is that we always do say hello. We don't pick up the phone and instantly start talking about
Mm.
something. Like we always like hello or like you're right. Like it's always we always start the conversation with a greeting. Um, so to do with the conversation of a phone call, I don't think it's very specific to the UK. We don't really have anything very specific,
Mm.
but just in terms of phones in general, landlines. I feel like most houses still have landlines, whether or not they get used is the
Mm.
question. But um, again, kind of maybe we should have done this first. The kind of phones and telephone calls that you can make. So landlines, which is the phone that you have in the house, everyone can use. It's normally on a wire of some sort. Like you can't really transport. Actually, no. There's a lot of mobile landlines now,
Mm.
once you can take out the holster.
Yeah.
Um, I guess another thing that Britain is very well known for is its red telephone boxes, but
Mm.
I'm really sad to tell everyone that is pretty much not really the case anymore. They can be found, but they're not very common and they're pretty much always not in use.
Yeah, and they're not even always red. I feel like that's quite dependent on where you are. Like the ones that used to be in our town that I can think of were just kind of like miscellaneous boxes that were sort of like grey and just had a phone in them.
Yeah, I mean the red telephone boxes are very specific. Then in the like 80s and 90s, they kind of had this like grey mechanical over like redo where they just became sort of like grey boxes, as you said, that were like almost like a grey metal steel like outside, and it was just fully glass, like not very nice
Mm.
to look at, and um a far cry from the red telephone boxes that I guess Britain is famous for. A lot of those red telephone boxes now you'll find will just be like a, a tourist thing. Like they're not used for actual like telephone calls. They're just there, um, kind of like as as a monument maybe. Actually, one thing I did note down is you'll find in a lot of telephone boxes, because they're not actually in use very often. There'll be like the defibrillator stations that you have
Oh,
in like town centers. That's often the case. But yeah, red telephone boxes. they're not really a thing anymore.
Sadly, they are also sort of like a tourist thing for us as well now, because even growing up, I don't think I really saw that many of them. It was mainly the grey ones.
Mm,
So yeah, they're equally as kind of interesting to us, I guess. They have them in museums and stuff still, but
yeah.
not very common.
Even the grey ones, like, they're not used, they're often
Yeah.
vandalised, and you'll be hard pressed to find one that actually does work. And if it does work, a lot of the time it's graffitied, it's stinks. People use them for all types of reasons that aren't making phone calls. Um, but yeah, and then obviously you have like mobile phones and stuff, but I'd say those are the three main
Mm.
kind of ways that you can make a call in the UK. Um, so moving on to, I guess, when you're on the phone. I've not really done this in chronological order. I do apologise. I said at the start, I was like, let's do it in chronological order, but I'm just going back and forth. Um, don't put your phone on speakerphone in public.
God no, please do not do that. Because
Don't do that.
no one will say anything because everyone, well, some people might, but in general, people won't say anything because they are quite conflict avoidant here. However, everyone will be annoyed at you, everyone will be thinking it, everyone will be making eye contact and like silently
Everyone will
judging.
passive aggressively be trying to
Yeah.
tell you to not put your phone out loud. And by that, I mean they'll give you looks.
Mm.
You might even have a
Yeah.
every now and
Uh,
again um, or a tut.
yeah.
A British person loves a tut.
Yeah.
Um, but you will never like get like some. Well, no, not never. That's not the right way. But yeah, most Brits are conflict avoidant, as you said, and so you might not be outright told to not do that, but don't.
Yeah.
It's not polite. It's not really yeah. It's not polite.
It's not, which I fear should be common sense, but apparently it isn't. Um, and yeah, even if people don't tell you to your face, they will talk about you loud enough that you can hear them.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if that happens, please just take the hint. You know, if you're on a phone call with someone, fair enough, I guess. Just don't talk any louder than you would normally with someone. If you are like watching TikTok or watching videos on your phone, just buy some
Or
earphones.
just play it on mute,
Or just
or even
yeah,
just really, really, really quiet. Because
yeah.
like I feel like that's never the case where it's really quiet. It's always like max level volume.
Hmm.
And of course, we're not saying this if you have some sort of like hearing impairment or something that a reason why that you need it to be on speakerphone. One may say, but just don't. Like no one wants to hear your calls.
Yeah.
No one wants to hear your conversations, and it happens a lot on public transport. Please do not. Please don't play music
Hmm.
out loud from your phone. We don't want to hear your playlist. It's not polite in the UK to have your phone out loud. Um yeah.
I would say on a sort of very similar note, if you know, if your phone rings when you're in public, okay, that's what phones are for. However, if it's like deep, deep in your bag and it's ringing for a good 20 seconds really loudly, maybe reconsider putting it somewhere more accessible to you. Because there's been a lot of times where I've been on public transport and someone with the most like egregiously strange ringtone, their phone
It's
goes
always an
off.
older person as well with the
Yeah.
most out of pocket ringtone.
It's always the strangest,
Yeah.
loudest ringtone. It's always on full volume and it's ringing for a good 20 seconds while they're rifling through their bag. So, you know, just maybe either put it on like mid volume and have like a normal ringtone, or just have it somewhere close to you.
Yeah. Yeah, but that is a big one. Please do not put your phone on speakerphone.
Yeah, just
I
don't.
mean, it's not like it's illegal. Don't get me wrong, but it's just not polite and it's not very it's not looked at greatly. You
Yeah.
will not be considered a good person if you do that.
Yeah, which is, I mean, I'm not saying it's not common because it's more common than it should be,
Yeah.
but I think everyone is sort of in agreement that we don't like it. And I fear the kind of annoyance to it is only rising. So
It's just a bit selfish.
it is just a bit selfish and a bit annoying, so let's not
Yeah.
do that.
Let's all not do that.
Yeah.
Everyone that's listening to this, please collectively, let's all agree.
Yes.
Please don't do that. Moving on to still being on the phone.
Hmm.
When you say numbers, pronounce the number 0 as O.
Yeah.
If you're reading off a phone number, say it's like 555 017.
Mm.
most of the time, if you're saying it over the phone, people will say O instead of zero. So it'd be like 555 555 555 for example. So that's something to keep an eye out for in case, because it's hard enough listening in a second language, but if
Mm.
reading numbers across the phone is got to be one of the most stressful situations ever.
Yeah, especially because a lot of the time it is the first digit. If someone says oh 07, blah blah
Yeah,
blah, it will be the first thing they say. So just be aware that O is zero.
yeah.
And sort of, I guess, on the same line, in case it's valuable information to you, the kind of what do you call it? The like region code for UK phone numbers is plus
Plus
four
four
four.
four.
So
Yeah.
if you ever see like phone numbers written both ways, don't get alarmed. The 44 replaces the zero, so you could say oh 07 or 447.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. So it's either going to be start with an O or it's going to start with plus 44.
Yeah.
They're interchangeable. It just depends, really. No, when you're reading out numbers to people, you don't tend to use the plus 44.
Yeah, that's
I
not
would
very
say
common.
you'd say O, but there's a lot of times if you're inputting your number into some sort of online form or something, it might have plus 44. Um. So yeah, that is one that I really noted down because I was like, if I was learning English and that happened to me, I'd be like,
Yeah.
uh,
Very, very
uh
odd, very specific.
help. Um. Also, this is one that I thought of because I was watching. There's a very famous comedian in the UK called Peter Kay. He's not as big anymore. He was very big in the early 2000s. Um, and very well known. A lot of people in the UK, if you say that name to, will know who he is and will know at least one reference from one of his jokes. Uh, but he kind of his comedy, or his older comedy, his most well known um bits are about kind of everyday life,
Mm.
everyday British life, things to do with your family and just everyday culture that everyone knows about, but everyone can laugh about. And I rewatched one of his bits where he talks about like telephone culture. And one of the parts, he's like, he does a bit about how if you're sitting at home at night and your phone goes and it's like
Terrifying.
if your phone goes at like 7 p.m. you're like, who's that? Why are they ringing? It's very strange. Not strange here, but I feel like if anyone calls you, especially on your house phone, if
That's
anyone
serious.
calls you at like after like 6 p.m., you're like, who's that?
Yeah, no, if
Why are they calling?
it's
Why are
a
you calling me?
it's a very rare occurrence that that happens, but if I ever get a phone call like even early in the morning as well is quite alarming to me if it's before like 8 or something. Like sometimes I'll get a call at like 7:30. I'm like, what's happened? But like yeah, really early calls or like after 6 p.m. immediate panic. I'm like, someone's died. What's
Yeah.
happened? Something's gone wrong.
Calling people like in the evening is just, I mean, if it's like your family member, maybe like if you're just like a husband or wife or
Mm.
a mom or a dad or something like that's kind of not to do with this. But if you're just sat at home and you're just like watching the telly and your phone goes off, especially your landline, as I said, you're just like, what the
Yeah,
hell is going on? Who is calling me at this time?
yeah, it is kind of
It's
terrifying.
alarming. And I was just like, that's true because like no one really calls after that time.
No,
No?
it's I think the thing is as well, we get so many like spam calls and like calls from like businesses that operate between like 9 and 5 that we're sort of used to it between those times. So anytime after that, we're like, okay, well, it's not going to be a business and it's probably not going to be a spam call.
Mm,
So if someone's chosen to call me. Why have
yeah.
they done that?
Yeah, I mean, even with mobile phones, it's like most of the time people will text you. So if someone
Yeah.
calls you, you're like, hello?
I'd say especially this is like a young people thing as well. But calling people sort of like unprompted is a bit of like a whoa thing.
Hmm.
And I don't know if this is specific to the UK necessarily, but I have seen like articles written about it, and I kind of relate because
Yeah,
I just
we just don't answer the
I
phone.
just hate phone calls. And again, most of the time I get calls, it's a spam call, so I'm not gonna
Yeah.
answer it.
And it also like I think I do think it's more of a generational thing than maybe a country specific thing. But yeah, like I will also, if the phone number is unknown
Mm.
or it doesn't have a name attached to it, I'm not going to answer it
Well, no.
because if you need me, you'll call again.
Yeah.
And if you really need me, I probably know you, and you should just text me.
Yeah, I would say, even like if it's your friend and you're gonna call them, I would at least say give them a heads up that you're
Yeah.
gonna call them beforehand. Like, because if you mention,
Just
I'll call you.
unprompted calling.
Yeah,
Terrifying.
it's the unpromptedness of it. Like, even if you called me at like 7 p.m, I'll be like, holy,
Yeah.
I shouldn't swear, but I'll be like, oh my god, what's happening?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I very rarely call you, and like out of all of like people in my contacts, like I feel like I could call you quite easily, but even then I'd be like, I would never just unprompted call you. Like even my partner, like I would never just unprompted call him. Like I would just be like, can you call? Like
Yeah.
it's very not in our. I mean, again, this could be a generational thing, but yeah, just don't call people if they're not expecting it.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe.
I think that is the thing. It's sort of just alarming to get an unwarranted phone call. Like, the only person I get that from is my mom when she's like at the shop asking me if I want something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd just say if you're gonna call someone, at least give them some sort of heads up.
Again,
beforehand.
this doesn't really count for family and stuff,
But if you have like an English British friend, just be like, okay, I'll call you tomorrow, or like I'll call you in a bit. Just let them know.
So the last ones I have on this list are all to do with like saying goodbye and the end of calls. So before we move on to that, do you have any that you can think of?
Do I? I don't think so. I feel like the content of the call is very sort of like dependent on the situation.
A lot of the culture and etiquette is surrounding the answering and the ending of calls, I would say.
Yeah, I will say again, maybe this is just a generation thing, or maybe it's just because I don't really call people ever. But I'd say it's not super common to have a lengthy phone call.
No, maybe not. So again, yeah, I think that's more generational. Like I feel like it used to be a very more common thing to have like a good long chat on the phone with someone, but social media, phones, texting, it's just not a thing anymore, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, so moving on to the end of calls, or the end of text messages, one might say, before we move on to the end of the calls. If you're texting someone and they put an X at the end of the message, that is a kiss. And British people put it at the end of every single message.
Yes.
Even if you don't really know them, you'll put it.
I would say especially if you don't really know them, actually. Yeah. It's almost like a sign of like
friendliness.
Respect, but like friendliness, yeah. Like oh, hello, like,
A lot of the time if someone doesn't put an X at the end of their message, I'm like, are they annoyed at me? Like,
yeah,
I'd say angry?
Especially if it's like not someone you're super close to. If they message you and like they don't put an X, I mean, I'm not gonna read into it that much, but like at the same time, if they did put an X, I'd be like, okay, yeah, that's normal. They're just showing like a sort of.
Again, don't do this in like job, business environments. Please don't do this, because some people will be like fine with it. Some people will think, oh, that's not the most professional thing in the world. But if you're speaking to people casually, whether that be family, friends, people you meet that you're acquaintances with, anything, they will use. Brits will always put an X at the end of a message, pretty much.
It's quite common, although I will say it's mainly only women that do that. I've never really seen men do it.
Yeah, I mean, men and women, if they're having a conversation, if it's between a man and a woman, the men might also put an X. But yeah, I don't know. Do two men speaking together, do they put it? I don't know.
As far as I know, no. Maybe if they're texting like their mom or their dad, maybe. Yeah. It's different, but as far as I know, I've never seen a guy
between friends. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they should.
Maybe
they should. Why not?
I will say as well, not technically related to phoning, but we also do put the XX at the end if we give someone like a birthday card or something as well.
Yes, that's
sometimes.
True.
So yeah.
It literally just an X just means a kiss.
Yeah.
It's just like, I know that in America and maybe other parts of the English speaking world they say XO, like X's and O's, like kisses and hugs. We don't use XO.
No.
Really, we definitely don't use hug, like O as hugs.
I also feel like that's become its own thing now. It almost feels a bit passive aggressive if you put XO at the end of something.
Yeah, if someone's like XOXO, it's like kind of sarcastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, if a Brit puts an X at the end of a message, it just means kiss. It's just friendliness. And I definitely think if you use it, then I'll be like, oh, yeah, they're British.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, 100%. I've never seen anyone else do it.
So yeah. So but that's specifically to do with text messaging. Yeah. If at the end of a phone call, you would never audibly be like, X.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
That's a bit strange.
Although I do know in some parts of like, I think especially in London, like they end the call by saying love. They'll just be
Oh.
like, "Oh, love," and then end it, which I guess is not uncommon. Like it doesn't. It's not out of the ordinary. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not that strange.
Um. Now, saying goodbye on the phone when you're a British person is a long ordeal. I would say it normally lasts as long as the conversation.
Yeah.
Because if there's one thing Brits can't do, it's put the phone down.
Mm.
We do not, like, if I was on the phone to someone, and they were just like, you ended the conversation, and they just went, okay, and ended the call, I'd be like,
Oh, I would think they hated me.
yeah, I would be stunned. I'd be like, what has just happened? What have I done? What have they done? What's going on? Brits do never just end the phone call like that. Like, you know, in American movies, they're just like, okay, and flip the phone, and it's
Yeah,
like,
it's like,
end of,
okay, bye.
okay, bye. Literally that. And sometimes they don't even say bye. They'll just be
Yeah.
like, okay, end of phone call. It's like, huh?
It's like, I don't know, maybe it's a completely different situation for other people, but just imagine doing that to someone in real life. You have a conversation, like, okay, and then you just walk off. That's how it feels. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, don't do that. If you're on the phone with a Brit, always say goodbye.
Yeah.
But not only do you have to say goodbye once,
Yeah.
not only do you have to say goodbye twice. This is right, me and Charlie are gonna role play for you guys here, okay?
Yeah.
So scene. Me and Charlie are on a phone call. Okay, Charlie, I'll see you tomorrow then.
Alright then, bye.
Alright then, bye.
Bye,
Bye,
bye.
bye, 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 bye. That is how it goes.
Genuinely.
You just kind of like, each person will continue to say bye over and over again, just slowly getting quieter, until it drifts off, and then you end the call.
Yeah, I would say it's almost like a game of chicken where you're like, okay, who's gonna hang up first?
Yeah.
We
You're just
both say
like
bye.
pulling the phone away from your face, bye, 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 and then
Yeah.
press end.
Yeah, even if you're talking to like people on the phone who aren't your friends, like if I like call my doctor's office, they'll be like, okay, bye, 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 bye.
Yeah, it's never just one bye; it's always multiple byes.
Yeah, always.
And sometimes even you'll mix up the byes. I'll be like, yeah, ta-ra, oh, cheers, okay, bye,
Yeah.
okay, bye, see ya, bye, bye, bye.
See ya, bye.
Like, it's just a mixture, but I feel like that is the one thing about British phone etiquette that is the most standout to me, and it's that.
Yeah.
Because if I was talking to anybody else, I feel like they would be like, why are you saying bye so many times? We've already established that we are ending the phone call, just end it. And then on the other side, I'd be like, why are you just ended the phone call? What have I done to you, you know?
Yeah, I feel like it's a very British thing to like say things multiple times.
Mm.
I feel like we do that in conversation as well. Be like, oh, thanks so much, you know.
Yeah, thanks.
It's just it's a common thing to do, but as far as I'm aware, I've never really heard people from other countries be like, bye, 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 bye. You know?
Yeah, it just trials off.
Yeah.
Trials off. Now, this could be a regional thing, but I think it's quite a generalized British thing. It's just, you just have to do it. It feels wrong to end a phone call not doing that.
Yeah, at least twice.
At least twice.
You know, if it feels weird to do a bit longer, but you know, at least do it twice. Be like, bye, bye.
Yeah, you just slowly pull the phone away from your face as you're saying it, so the byes get quieter and quieter, and then end the call.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're on a phone with a British person and you're not British, and you think, what is going on? That is what it is. And do you know what though? I guarantee, because I think if I was not British and I moved here, I would pick that up very quickly.
Yeah.
Like, it's just something that I feel like you probably just kind of have to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I will say I remember when I was in Japan, I obviously never really called people in Japan because why would I? That's terrifying to call people in another language anyway, and I don't like phone calls. But I remember this one time I had an order delivered, and like the delivery man called me, and he was like, "Oh, your thing's here, like downstairs," and I was like, "Oh, okay." And then it got to the end, I was like, "Okay, bye, see you soon, bye, bye." And he'd already like put the phone down by that point, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Like I forget that it's not normal,
even in a different language.
Yeah, I was
like it
okay,
still had
okay.
to be done.
Imakudu.
You just said bye bye, see you soon, bye bye.
I'm coming.
Yeah, I feel like that is the most standout thing. So if we're just going to quickly recap, you know, the main things to do with British phone culture. Always say hello.
Yes.
Always say a greeting. Hello, you're right. Hi. Just a nice greeting.
Yeah,
I would say.
a nice greeting.
Don't put your phone on speakerphone in public.
Yes, please.
calling at night is not the most popular thing here. Again, this is one of the looser ones. Don't take this with a grain of salt because it's very subjective to people. But I'm just saying, if you come here and you start finding people at 8 p.m, you might not get the most.
Yeah, expect for them to
Pixel.
think something's gone wrong.
Yeah, expect people to be a bit like, "Why are you calling me at this time?"
Yeah.
When numbers are pronounced, the 0 can be often pronounced O.
Yes.
Just remember that, especially if you're doing a lot of admin business things or something to do with like passing over your personal information. That's very important to know. And also that the 0 at the beginning, only the beginning of numbers in the UK can also be interchanged with +44.
Yeah, for the mobile.
Putting X's at the end of messages. Again, this is subjective. You don't have to do it. It's not done in like professional settings, but if you're talking between family, friends, people that you're acquaintances with, it just shows just a bit of friendliness. People will put it at the end to mean like a kiss, and it's just to show friendliness, really. That's as best as I can put it.
Yeah, and I'll add another sort of vaguely related one, which again is a bit subjective, and I would say it definitely depends on like A, how close you are to the person, and B, the generation of that person. But if you end your message with a full stop, just be aware that that might come off as a bit like, whoa.
Aggressive. Yeah,
it might be seen as passive aggressiveness sometimes.
Yeah, so if people, again, this you might just be thinking, but that's the correct punctuation. It's like, yes, it is, but over text, if you include full stops, it can sometimes be interpreted as not aggressive, but like you might be annoyed at them. You might be annoyed at who you're talking to.
It feels quite like blunt. It feels a bit like, okay, I'm being very formal and very like.
Again, this is just for informal settings. This is not to do with business or
and I would also say I wouldn't really necessarily apply to older generations because they can tend to do it and they don't really mean anything by it.
But I'd say like I'd say millennials downwards.
Yeah, for
sure. Because I think even like my mom, who's like Gen X, like she does it sometimes, and I'll literally message her back and be like, "Why are you annoyed at me?" Like, hello.
Yeah. Just be aware of that. Obviously, if you have like multiple sentences, put full stops or whatever. If you put an exclamation mark, question mark, that's fine.
It's only like the last sentence.
Yeah, the very end, just don't put full stop.
And the last, but I would say most important, multiple buys. Don't put the phone down straight away. You gotta at least say bye twice.
Yeah. Or even if it's not bye, you might hear tra bit, tra.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the unofficial guide to being what's the word? This is the unofficial guide to British phone etiquette.
Yes.
How to sound and be like a Brit on the phone, how to blend in with Brits on the phone. So yeah, if you are British and you're listening to this, let us know in the comments, have we missed any that are glaringly obvious? And if you're not British and you're listening to this, do you have any phone etiquette, culture, I'll start that again. If you're not British and you're listening to this, do you have any phone culture, phone etiquette in your own country that is very specific to that? Share with us, tell us in the comments, and we hope you enjoyed this week's podcast. I know it's probably a lot to take in, but we will see you in the next podcast.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye 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 bye.